Since its inception in 1950, the Election Commission of India has been making sustained efforts to register all eligible citizens as voters and facilitate them to vote during elections. The Commission has taken several special initiatives to inform, educate, motivate, facilitate and also reach out to all categories of voters to ensure their holistic participation in electoral process based on the motto, "No voter to be left behind." Inclusion of persons with disabilities in the electoral process has been one of the core areas, and hence the Commission has taken a prodigious step by declaring accessible elections as the theme of the National Voters' Day on the 25th January 2018. From April 2018, a series of consultations for inclusion of PwDs in the electoral process were conducted across the country, in districts and states to identify barriers, challenges, ways to overcome them and draft strategies to increase their participation. The reports from the districts were taken up as key agenda documents for state-level consultations, serving a role in further enriching aspects relating to the inclusion of PwDs, particularly with regard to matters of registration and polling. The entire process aided in generating a nationwide data of proven veracity on persons with disabilities that would be vital in designing accessibility initiatives, developing barrier-free communication strategies, making provisions available and rendering requisite amenities at the polling station for them. The National Consultation on Accessible Elections was the culmination of more than 3-month-long series of district and state-level workshops. The National Consultation on Accessible Elections, scheduled on the 3rd and 4th of July 2018 in New Delhi, opened with an enthusiastic start with the participation of more than 50 civil society organizations, mostly members with disabilities, and all the chief electoral officers of states, union territories, besides members of the national political parties and ministries of the Government of India. A model polling booth was created at the venue where a number of participants cast their votes. Also, the exhibition at the venue showcased the numerous initiatives by the Election Commission of India. The consultation began with the welcome speech from Director Ms. Padma Angmo.
I again extend a warm welcome to all the participants and guests. We look forward to an invigorating and productive 2 days. Thanks so much.
Mr. Umesh Sinha, Senior Deputy Election Commissioner, briefed the August gathering on the objectives of the consultation.
2018 has been declared as a year of accessible election. The Commission started with the international conference on the disability to understand the issues and challenges related to it in the international arena.
Mr. Ashok Lavasa, Election Commissioner, highlighted the importance of collaboration with stakeholders and society as a whole, while laying emphasis on awareness initiatives and the spirit of volunteering among people to make the entire electoral process accessible.
Despite the existence of laws and programs and policies, is there enough sensitivity in society at large, among all of us, to understand the need of somebody who is not physically as endowed as someone else?
Mr. Sunil Arora, Election Commissioner, in his address cited the example of Master Ramchandra.
There are many known and unknown soldiers and generals in this war on, I would call it war on various kinds of disability who are working in this country. Many of them known, sung, many of them not so well known, unsung, but equally dedicated.
Reaffirming the Election Commission of India's commitment to make elections entirely inclusive, accessible and hassle-free for persons with disabilities, the Chief Election Commissioner, Mr. O.P. Rawat, remarked.
Please do not restrict yourself to recommending legal amendments, new legal provisions resources or affirmative actions under the law. All those things can be said, can be recommended, can be included, because the sky is the limit. But please apply yourself to devise a strategy that this insensitivity can be defeated in this whole process.
The consultation also witnessed the launch of a new dynamic website for the Election Commission of India, SVEEP, SVEEP, the Systematic Voters Education and Electoral Participation, with a dedicated website section catering to persons with disabilities and state-of-the-art security and accessibility features.
We have a book which was
The inaugural session was followed by the technical session 1, Accessible Elections, Sharing of Initiatives, which included presentation by the Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, followed by the presentation of best practices on accessible elections by the CEOs, DEOs from 6 different states of the country. Post-lunch, the technical session 2, Group Task. It witnessed a division of working groups as per participants' experience and expertise in 5 categories of disabilities mentioned by the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016, namely Group 1, Blindness and Low Vision, Group 2, Deaf and Hard of Hearing, Group 3, Locomotor's Disability including Cerebral Palsy, Leprosy Cured, Dwarfism, Acid Attack Survivors, Muscular Dystrophy, Medical and Blood Disorders, Group 4, Intellectual Disability including Autism, Specific Learning Disabilities and Mental Illness, Group 5, Multiple Disabilities including Deaf Blindness. The groups read through the reports submitted by the states and union territories and assessed barriers and challenges specific to the disabilities. They studied existing initiatives, took inputs from the participating CSOs to finalize the findings and recommendations. Each group then prepared presentations on the 3 themes that were to be presented in the sessions ahead. The work through the day progressed into an evening with performances by different groups of persons with disabilities.
वतन वतन मेरे आबाद रहे तू, ऐ वतन वतन मेरे आबाद रहे तू, मैं जहाँ रहूँगा याद रहे तू। हुन सिख कदी दुख सुख बोलना तेरे बिन, वो तेरे बिन नहीं लगदा दिल मेरा डोलना। ऐसा क्या है तेरी अंगड़ाई में, तू मुझे रोज नया लगता है।
The second day of the consultation started with the technical session 3, thematic presentations with all 5 groups presenting their viewpoints for each theme, followed by comments of panelists and closing remarks by the chair. Session 3 began with presentations on the theme, Accessible Registration Process including the use of IT.
There should be electoral literacy clubs in concerned institutions. Website should be accessible.
Inferiority, insecurity and insulted feeling of the disabled. These are the things one has to understand.
If the family doesn't make the cooperation to the disabled person, it is impossible to implement the policy itself.
Whether it's through the election commission or the electoral processes or by social action, we need to build an inclusive society.
The major takeaways relating to the subject involved development of accessible websites and mobile apps for PwDs, along with the training and awareness programs for poll officials, political parties, candidates and workers on the specific needs and reasonable accommodations of persons with disabilities for effective electoral process. Then presentations were made by each group on accessible polling stations including EVM, VVPAT and other facilitation measures.
जैसे इलेक्शंस के लिए जब हम जाते हैं तो कहाँ जाना है, कहाँ जैसे मशीन्स में जो होता है वहाँ पे ब्लिंकर्स नहीं होते हैं कि वोटिंग हो गई है वोटिंग नहीं हुई है, तो कन्फ्यूज़न होता है। तो पहले हमको वीडियो फिल्म के थ्रू एक्सप्लेन करके दिखाना चाहिए कि कौन सा बटन पुश करना है या वोटिंग हुई है या नहीं।
It is the responsibility of political parties to recognize people with disability as equal citizens.
PwDs are also an important part of the society and they need to be given equal emphasis.
The session laid emphasis on the need to create a separate, all-accessible polling station in areas where persons with disabilities are highly populated, strict accessibility audit of the polling stations across the country, and EVM VVPAT awareness campaigns to be specifically designed for persons with disabilities. Last set of presentations were made on voter education and leveraging partnerships by each group.
Restricted means of communication can have solutions like disabled-friendly websites, newspaper advertisements, bulk SMSs, promotional videos, road shows, street plays, and local cultural performances. And district and state level icons can play a very vital role in it.
निर्वाचन आयोग के इस 2 दिवसीय विचार विमर्श से मेरे जैसे आदमी के अंदर यह जरूर भावना पैदा हुई है कि जो हमारे यहाँ कहा जाता है PwDs, उनके अधिकारों के लिए हमें निश्चित रूप से सजग होकर के एक नया अभियान चलाना होगा.
Addressing a plethora of topics within the theme, the main points of discussion included indispensable need for voter education in schools, colleges and communities, the use of local organizations and NGOs for information dissemination, as also collaborations with interministerial departments to create a stronger community of informed voters. The closing session began with a brief by Mr. Umesh Sinha, Senior, DEC. He summarized the feedback received through the discussions during the consultation. Thereafter, a summary of each theme was presented by the CEOs. The representatives of NGOs shared their experiences of the consultation, evocated what they as grassroots organizations derived from the discussions, and shared what they concluded their new responsibilities in helping the Election Commission make the election a truly democratic process. A lot of suggestions came from the floor towards inclusion and implementation by political parties. The participants of the 2-day consultation presented their views to the Commission and the various stakeholders. Mr. Ashok Lavasa, the Election Commissioner, addressed the gathering.
This kind of conversation not only brings us together in one room, but I think it brings us on one page so that we can have an approach which is a very civilized and humane approach.
Shri Sunil Arora, the Honorable Election Commissioner, presented his views.
We have gone 1 step ahead or 2 steps ahead, things like that. Thank you.
Then, strategic framework on accessible elections was unveiled. The strategic framework, with 14 important points, is built around sensitization through education and training, community involvement, effective partnership with institutions, and facilitating persons with disabilities. Mr. O.P. Rawat, the Chief Election Commissioner, declared,
Braille epics for visually impaired people will be distributed and samples have been given today.
The Commission announced the following measures for the facilitation of persons with disabilities: accessible communication awareness materials, a mobile application to motivate and educate, appointment of disability coordinators at AC, district and state level, cascaded training on accessibility to poll officials, auxiliary polling stations, accessible photo voter slips, sign language window in all the audio-visual training, and advertisement content material for the convenience of deaf persons, free transport facility for persons with disabilities and their assistants.
And finally, we have an India International Institute of Democracy and Electoral Management. We would like to set up accessibility division there.
The Commission also facilitated 2 blind voters with Braille-enabled electors' photo identity card, marking the first step towards this initiative. The vote of thanks was presented by Ms. Padma Angmo, Director.
Once again to all of you for your active participation in the National Consultation. Thank you so much.
The Election Commission of India is committed to building an equal access framework for persons with disabilities, supported by the fundamentals of responsiveness, respect and dignity to enhance elector confidence among them, and support initiatives for improved services to enhance their electoral participation. The Election Commission of India, empowering persons with disabilities through power with democracy.